Okay, so now today we're here at Rattanak. So after Chabdai works with the women to get them freed from the sex trade industry, they need a place to come and stay to get rehabilitated into the society and to heal and to get counseling. So we're here at Rattanak to check out their building space that they're creating. This is their old current building. They're also building a brand new building that's going to be opened up in just a few months. Which has dormitories, counseling rooms, a lot of really incredible stuff, and hard work is going into this. So I'm excited to see and hear more about what they're doing here.
We'll cool down in here in a bit, with the love and the hope of Christ, which is a big vision for the whole country. We're not a huge organisation, but we really want to see that happening. And for me, I started here in 2017. Collaboratively, and that's a really important word to us, to work with other people, to be a catalyst, not to do all the work, but to be a catalyst for transformation in Cambodia. And two things really that we focus on. One is empowering exploited people and working very directly with people, but also thinking about what is the system that lies behind that. So I'll talk a bit more in a minute. We do a fair amount of work with government as well, and with some of the international agreements, trying to make sure that the system actually changes, as well as dealing with the people that have been damaged by what's happening at the minute, that we're stopping that happening to more people in the future. So often our work has two prongs. Now we have our own staff, like I say. We work with about 70 people a year, 70 women a year. They're all young, well, mostly young women, 18 and up, and tend to be younger. And we work both through a model where women are coming into a small home and living there longer term, but also for women who want to go back to wherever their home is and their community is, to go back to that community and continue to work with them there. Like I say, we do a lot of work with government and bilateral arrangements. So this week even we've got a meeting at the beginning of the week with Ministry of Economic and Finance that one of our team's going to. The end of next week, this week, we've got somebody going up to Siem Reap for some multilateral meetings between Cambodia and Laos and Myanmar, looking at the trafficking situation into Thailand, and those three governments are getting together and saying, how can we negotiate with Thailand about what's happening for better controls across the borders. Sometimes that works okay, it's very rarely okay actually in the fishing industry, but it's long hours, often working 17 to 19 hours a day as a fisherman. It's brutal conditions, a lot of violence, sometimes sexual violence too on the boats, and regular stories of people being killed and thrown overboard, and men who have seen that happen. So we did some research back in 2016 and found, as we suspected at that time, that there was a huge gap in services. Men come back from these experiences and they often can get some help to actually get back to Cambodia if they're identified as trafficked, but they can't then get long-term support. So we've been working on establishing a project to do that, to try and fill that gap, to be people who walk alongside them perhaps for a year, perhaps for 2 years. That would all be community-based. Doesn't work so well for men to be in accommodation. It's not such an attractive option for them. They want to be back with their families. Often they have people to support. But they're going back often with a lot of shame because they haven't been able to get an income. That whole idea of going away was to come back with money and to support their family. That's not what's happened. actually come back with a high level of trauma, but not a little bit similar perhaps to our cultures. Men are generally so good, and there's not so many places for them to talk about that and to process that, and to be weak. That's a really important part of the project as well. We'll be delivering appropriate type of counselling to men in the community. So it's not going to be an easy project. We feel okay about that because we've never tried to do easy work. Even when Brian started Rattanak, he came into a country bringing stuff that illegally he wasn't actually allowed to bring in, and put himself at a lot of risk actually, and risked his career too. So that's sort of part of the DNA of Rattanak. So we know that will be difficult. We have a project manager called Pirit who's been working for the last few months and interviewing people and confirming that the research and the current situation. We have 4 people starting next month who will be the initial team for that project. A counsellor, 2 people working on case management, and 1 person working on economic services. So we've got a really skillful team. They've got 30-40 years of experience between them in some of the work they're doing. 6 of them were only formally identified as trafficked, but a lot of other people were exploited and needed help to get back to their home province. And one of the interesting things that's happened is that people stopped bringing people back across that border crossing. So they've actually seen a decrease in the number of people coming back across the border crossing because they're there, because they're a presence and they add formality to the process, and some people were being brought back across and charged extra money for being brought back across, which happens. And the fact that Samaritan's Purse was there has actually changed again the environment and the system and how people are operating. In fact, one of the reasons they moved there was because they were aware of some of that corruption that was happening at the border. And if you are videoing, please don't post. It's a community heroes prevention project, so training people out in the community to talk about trafficking and how to avoid it and what the danger signs are. They trained over 39,000 people through that project last year, which is hugely important. And they continue to support those people that they've trained. And often actually what they do through that is they pick up cases of abuse and of trafficking, because they've sort of now got this network of people at community level. In Chapdai we also support to do case management. This is a project that works to get people home. So they are working with embassies and governments in other countries to try and make sure people get back to Cambodia when they've been trafficked. And they returned 122 survivors in 2017. So they work really hard on having that network of meeting people, of letting people know they're available. If they weren't there, it would be hard for some of these people to ever get back to Cambodia. And they also play an important role in some of those bilateral meetings and coordination and meetings that happen with other governments. So it's nice to have that partnership. Often we're both going to the same meetings, having decided before what we want to really push for. So there's sort of a partnership going on there from different NGOs, particularly the Christian NGOs, pushing to have the same voice. And Chapdai does a good job of coordinating that and encouraging that coordination. With the women who are working there, training them in issues of safety and what their rights are. And over time, again, building relationship and giving them opportunities to make some different choices if they would like to, and enter other sorts of training. It's very much relationship focused, about building relationships with those women. And again, lots of good stories, some of which I'm sure you've heard about the impact that's had on individuals.
Yep.
Our last new project is Mother's Heart. They were already set up in Phnom Penh. We've supported them this year to set up a new centre in Battambang, again in the northwest, in that same area. We're working with other projects. They'll reach 20 exploited women in this period, all of whom have crisis pregnancies for one reason or another. It could be as a result of trafficking, sometimes as a result of rape, sometimes as a result of being abandoned in a relationship. They've got a very small house there in Battambang, which is both their office but also a centre for women to come to get good care for their babies, to get advice on raising them. And I thought it might be nice just to end. I don't know whether you've seen this, but we've just put a video up. I think I should be able to move this onto the screen. It's just a very short video, but tells the story of some of the work they do.
Can I film this?
Yeah, it's actually on the website as well.
Oh, yeah, one sec. Okay, great.
Bạn tập sáng luôn cho đây hồi lại chân ái mà tôi sẽ ai tạo bạn mà những cái tấm bản biết cái tất cả mình đi hái kiểu cho người ta ai cao như thế thì tôi mình bảo cả là chân mình ai được chui ra cười có chui lui cát co lui thì thói cả bờ thẻ nam bể nam trai có chui vào ca nghe bạn thơ là khải có chân họ về tại vì tôi có tay ba năm tập chết dê chui đó là chuyên nghiệp tập trên anh và cả bạn rồi thả tầm đó xuôi bên ngọc giờ mình cùng quan mình một bạn ha thì cái sẽ là nghe một thả mình tham gia bao nhiêu điều mình chồng con mình thì còn bao tiền ta mình có